welcome to online class with me Nusrat Alam, lecturer in English, Milestone College. How are you all, my dear students of class 12? I believe you must be very busy right now with your latest syllabus. Yes, in your new syllabus, some items have been dropped or deducted, and the mark distribution of the remaining items has also changed. And from that syllabus, my today's online class is on two very important topics. And we find them in English first paper, question number 1A and 1B. I believe you all know what are the items. Yes, you're right. My today's online class is on MCQ and question answer. We find it in English first paper, question number 1A and 1B. And according to the new syllabus or new mark distribution, the total mark for MCQ is 10 and for question answer 15. Well, what is MCQ? MCQ or multiple choice question is a form of objective assessment where the candidate is given one question along with 4 options. And in the 4 options, there will be 1 correct answer and 3 distractors. The student or the candidate has to find the proper answer from the options. MCQ item has a stem which asks a question, and the 4 responses that are given along with 1 correct answer and 3 distractors, the candidate has to find the proper answer. Here, an MCQ question wants to assess a candidate and his ability in particular area. If the student has proper knowledge in that particular sector, he will be able to answer it properly. For example, if I ask you, what is the old name of Dhaka? Was it Jahangirnagar, Alinagar, Islamabad or Salimabad? If the candidate has proper knowledge about general knowledge or history, he will be able to answer it. And the answer is Jahangirnagar. And MCQ or multiple choice question is a very popular method to assess a student or a candidate, and this system is used worldwide. In question number 1B, we find short question answers. Well, there are 2 types of questions. One is close-ended question, another one is open-ended question. What is close-ended question? Close-ended questions are those whose answers are only 1 or 2 words or can be given in just 1 sentence. It doesn't need any descriptive answer or any elaborate description. But the open-ended question, the second type, it requires a descriptive answer and the answers are little elaborately described. Only 1 word is not going to... Short answers are not acceptable for open-ended questions. So a question might come in your mind that what kind of questions are you going to get in question number 1B? In question number 1B, we find open-ended question and whose answers should be descriptive. And in this case, my dear students, you have to keep in your mind that according to our new syllabus, we will get 5 questions, but the mark distribution will be 3. Each question would contain 3 marks. So to get good marks over there, our answers need to be very clear and descriptive as well. For these 2 items, MCQ and question answer, only 1 stem will be given. A passage taken from our English for Today book will be given in the question. After reading the text clearly, we have to understand the meaning of the lines, the word meanings and the theme or the message that the passage wants to convey. We have to have clear idea about that passage, and then we will attempt MCQ or question answer. The MCQ questions could be vocabulary related or relevant to synonyms or antonyms of certain words used in the passage, or it could be based on the context. And while answering question answers, the answers should be descriptive, and quoting down the lines from the passage is not acceptable. Rather, we would like to see how far you can explain the question in your own way. You can have the idea from the text, but don't just copy the lines. Use your own language and your own words. Our students often feel confused about the presentation of the question answer. They often ask, are we going to make some paras over there? Well, let me make it clear. If your question have separate parts, your answer are also going to be presented in different paras. If your question is in 1 line or in 1 sentence, you can have or you can only use 1 para in answering. Or, my dear students, it's your own way how you would like to present your answer. To have a clear idea on how to answer MCQs and question answers in exam, we have taken a sample question from Government Science College, Tejgarh, Dhaka. We will read the passage first very carefully and then attempt the MCQs and short questions. So let's read the passage first.
We have selected a sample question from Government Science College, Tejgarh, Dhaka, Test Examination 2019. We will be practicing question number 1A and 1B from this question. But before that, let us go through the lines that are given over here, and the passage talks about water pollution of the rivers in and around Dhaka city, and especially Buriganga. The river Buriganga is an example of a dying river. We all know about this, that the river Buriganga is considered to be a dying river as there are no symbol or sign of living animals, fish or other animals in the river water. A report published in the Daily Sun describes what has happened to the river Buriganga and why. So the information that has been shown here is based on the report that was published by the Daily Sun. Its water is polluted and a perpetual stench fills the air around it. That means the water of this river is so polluted that it stinks. There is a bad smell or bad odor continuously comes out of this water and fills the air around it. But that is not what it was like before. The report says that the river had a glorious past. Once it was a tributary of the mighty Ganges and flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dholeshwari. So definitely we all understand that it was not the first picture of this river. It had a glorious past, and once it was a tributary, that means a small river of the mighty Ganges. Ganges is actually the river Ganga. It is called Ganges in English, and flowed into the Bay of Bengal through the river Dholeshwari. Gradually, it lost its link with the Ganges and got the name Buriganga. That means once it was a small river coming out of the mighty Ganga and entering into Bangladesh, it took the name Buriganga. And now presently it has lost its link with the river Ganga. The Mughals marveled at the tide level of the Buriganga and founded their capital Jahangirnagar on its banks in 1610. That means Mughals were really amazed at the tide level of the river. It had strong current in its water, and that's why for their communication, for the better communicative system, they established their capital at in Dhaka in 1610, and the name of the capital was Jahangirnagar. Later on, the name was changed into Dhaka. The river supplied drinking water and supported trade and commerce. And previously that time, the river was where the main source or way of communication. Jahangirnagar was renamed Dhaka, which grew into a heavily populated city with a chronic shortage of space. Chronic means persisting for a long time. That means the shortage of space is not going to end in near future. The city paid back the bounty of the river by sucking life out of it. Though the city Dhaka was a reward by the river Buriganga, but the people or we have sucked out the life and we have polluted the river in such a way that now it is in a dying condition. According to the newspaper report, the Buriganga is dying because of pollution. Huge quantities of toxic chemicals and wastes from mills and factories, hospitals and clinics, as households and other establishments are dumped into the river every day. The city of Dhaka discharges about 4,500 tons of solid waste every day, and most of it directly released into the Buriganga. That means this is the picture of how are we going to, or how are we already have polluted our rivers, these mighty rivers who are the source of our communication and source of drinking water as well. We have polluted it in such a way that nowadays we are actually dumping all the waste into the river without thinking the after effect of these things. According to the Department of the Environment (DOE), 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are released into the river every day. Tannery waste is such kind of waste which is really very harmful for water. But without treating them, the waste that are coming out of these factories or these industries needed to be treated before exposing or before releasing them into water. But our country, the mills and factories in our countries are not following the rules or not even treating their waste at all. And that's why the picture of pollution of river water is in such a condition that the rivers are dying nowadays. Experts identified 9 industrial areas in and around the capital city as the primary sources of river pollution. That means the names of these 9 places are the primary or main sources of river pollution, and the rivers, those who are inside Dhaka or around this city. And the names or the areas are Tongi, Tejgaon, Hajaribagh, Tarabo, Narayanganj, Savar, Gazipur, Dhaka Export Processing Zone, and Ghorashal. The river would need a monster stomach to digest all the wastes mentioned above. There is a limit up to which it can put up with its cruel and thoughtless treatment. That means that we people are so thoughtless and we're so cruel that we are wasting these mighty rivers who are the source of our water in such a way that this is quite impossible for any river to digest or to take all this pollution anymore. So we, the humans, have successfully killed one of our rivers, as we already have talked about River Buriganga, which is considered to be a dead river or dying river. There are other rivers in the country that are being subjected to similar thoughtless treatment. Unless we take care of our rivers, there may come a time when we will cry water, water, and find it nowhere. In this passage, we have talked about the ways we are polluting our river and its water and the after effect without thinking of the after effect we are doing it. But it is high time we took some steps against water pollution and how can we lessen the pollution level into the river water.
The passage is about water pollution and the way we are polluting the water of our rivers in or around Dhaka city. The picture or the informations are quite shocking. In this picture, the previous history of Buriganga is said and the present condition is also described. And Buriganga is presented, or we all know that it is an example of a dying river. We already have killed it and its biodiversity. In this passage, the different informations that have been given about how much or what amount of waste that we are throwing into the rivers and the future effect or after effect of these kind of unthoughtful activities is also shown or also described. So I believe that you have understood the passage and the meaning of the words, certain words that are described in the passage or used in the passage. Now we will go for MCQs.
First of all, let us practice MCQ and then we will go for question answers. And the first question says, the word tributary mentioned in the passage means, and the 4 options are rivulet, which means a brook or small river. Number 2, take. Number 3, pond. Number 4, estuary, which means outfall or creek. So we already have discussed that once the Buriganga was a tributary of the mighty Ganges. So tributary means small river or rivulet. Number B, the word marveled mentioned in the passage means the Mughals were marveled at the tide level of the river. So they were astonished or overwhelmed. But let us find the options that we have here. First option says offended, then grief stricken, overwhelmed, hurt. So they were overwhelmed. So this is the correct answer. The word toxic mentioned in the passage means all the questions that you already have seen, they are based on vocabularies and their meaning synonymous words. So another one is here. We have to find out the meaning of the word toxic. toxic means which is harmful, harmful chemical waste actually, and which is not healthy at all. So it could be poisonous, but let us see the options that we have. Number one, tasty is quite impossible. Healthy, no, it's not. Toxic doesn't mean healthy. Moderate, no, toxic means harmful. So poisonous is the correct option. Next one, the word identified in the passage means. Identified means to find out. So let us see or check the options that we have. Excluded, no. Trust out means finding out. Carried out, teased. So trust out is the correct option. The word stench in the passage means, we talked about earlier, a perpetual stench fills the air of the city or near the river. So stench means a bad odor or bad smell. The options that we have stink, perfume, stick, fragrance. So the correct option is stink. So my dear students, I believe you also have attempted these MCQs and you must have scored 5 out of 5. So now let's move on to the question answers that we have here. The first question says, according to the passage, what happened in the year 1610? I think you can remember that in 1610, Jahangirnagar was established. Yes, here you can see in the underlined, the lines that I have underlined, they give the information that Mughals marveled at the tide level of Buriganga and founded their capital Jahangirnagar on its bank in 1610. So the answer is, according to the passage, in the year 1610, the Mughals founded their capital Jahangirnagar on the bank of Buriganga. The tide level of the river marveled them, and the river supported trade and commerce and supplied drinking water as well. Number B, what, according to the experts, are the primary sources of river pollution in and around Dhaka city? So let us check what the passage says. Expert identified 9 industrial areas in and around the capital city as the primary sources of river pollution. They have identified 9 areas to be the primary sources of river pollution, and here are the names. So our answer should be, according to the experts in the passage, there are 9 industrial areas in and around the capital city as the primary sources of river pollution. They are Tongi, Tejka, Hazaribagh, Tarabo, Naranganj, Savar, Gazipur, Dhaka, Export Processing Zone, and Ghorashal. Number C. What amount of solid waste is produced in Dhaka city and where does it go? We have to go back to our passage again. And there we have the information that what amount of solid waste that we produce and release in the city. And it is about 4,500 tons of solid waste. So our answer should be, the city of Dhaka discharges about 4,500 tons of solid waste every day. Huge quantities of toxic chemicals and wastes from mills and factories, hospitals and clinics and households and other establishments are dumped into rivers every day, and most of it directly released into the Buriganga. Question number D. What DOE say? DOE is the Department of the Environment, and it says 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are released into the river every day. So here is our answer. The Department of the Environment, DOE, says a huge amount of waste, to be exact, 20,000 tons of tannery waste, including some highly toxic materials, are released into the river every day. What may happen if we do not take care of our rivers? So the thoughtless treatment that we are doing or the river is receiving out of us definitely is going to pay back, or definitely we have to face the after effect of this thing. So whatever we have read and whatever we understand, we can say that if we do not take care of our rivers now, in near future, we may have to face serious water crisis. Definitely, if the water is polluted, where are we going to get the water to drink or to use? If we keep polluting water, there may come a time when we will cry water, water, but we will find it nowhere. So it is high time to be very careful about the water pollution or the way we are polluting it, and we have to minimize it in any ways it requires. So, my dear students, I believe the passage that I read, you understood that and you have successfully attempted the questions.
My dear students, did you attempt the MCQs? Then what is your score? Though I have shown you here all the 4 options, but how are you people going to present them in your exam copy? Are you going to write all those 4 options? No. You are just going to use the number of the question and the number of the option that you have chosen as correct answer. And you will also write the name or the answer as well. And while answering question answers, please be very careful that don't just quote down or copy the lines from the text. Use your own words or your own language while describing them. It is our purpose to see how far you can play or how far you can use your own vocabulary or your own language. My dear students, I believe that my today's class has helped you in preparing for the upcoming exam. Please have patience while answering these MCQs or short question answer, and use your own language and present it nicely in your exam copies. With the hope of your better result and better education, I'm going to end up my today's class. See you some other time with some other topic. Till then, bye-bye.